And the movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta, that's MEND, Bomo Jomo confirmed talks with the Nigerian government to end the attacks. MEND selected a group of persons dubbed Aaron Team 2 to dialogue with government on behalf of militants. Now, the largest and most prolific militant group before they were granted amnesty in 2013, MEND has not taken responsibility for any attack since 2013. Of course, we're now joined by the founder of the Shekiri People's Congress, Prince Ishola Ekwejunor. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure being with you.
Yes, and you know, it was exciting just seeing your turn up, yes, you know, in a princely regalia. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank Jesus.
MEND, on the one hand, they seem to be, you know, coming to the forefront in terms of actually dialoguing with this government to bring peace back to the Niger Delta. But the NDAs, the Niger Delta Avengers themselves, are saying MEND cannot speak for them. So,
thank you very much. You see, like I said yesterday, you don't solve a problem without going into the historical facts of that problem. That's why NDA is telling you that MEND cannot speak for them. I founded the Shekiri People's Congress, and the origin of the Shekiri People's Congress is as a result of the failure of the Nigerian state to take care of the Shekiri people in 2003, when the Ijaws fought a genocidal war with the Shekiri people, trying to wipe out the complete Shekiri nation. The government should go back to the records. So I, sitting down here, mobilized, galvanized all my people, and we fought back the Ijaw people. The man popularly known today as Tombolo was on the other side, while I was on the Shekiri side. By the time the Shekiri man, who's not known for violence, by the time we decided to give violence, they ran into the bush. I can make reference to General, what was his name? One of the generals in the JTF then. I will get his name during the course of the program. The general, Tombolo and his people, they ran down there that they should beg the Shekiri people. Ike Clark went into the air and said the Shekiri people went to get the Nigerian army to fight for them. But no, we fought, we defeated them. We know the Creeks. We drove them into their...
when you say you fought, what exactly was your fight about? Are you saying then that you're not on the same page with the Niger Delta Avengers, or are you fighting the same war?
Listen to me. Listen to me. Who are the Niger Delta Avengers? That's the first question you ask. Who are they? Who is MEND? Who is the Niger Delta Avengers? They are just the same people talking different languages. They are the same people talking different languages. The MEND was an offshoot of the crisis between the Shekiri. Don't forget the Kayama Declaration. Have you forgotten it? Don't you know there is something? Nothing just happened. There is something that brought about Kayama Declaration. And after Kayama Declaration, the other ethnic nationalities, the Ijaw nation wanted to wipe them out, to be able to muzzle them into their own agenda. That was what brought about the Shekiri saying, no, we can't get that.
Yeah, so what was the agenda?
But the agenda is what they are playing out now. They are playing out the agenda. They mellowed the agenda because their own was president. That's Jonathan. They mellowed the agenda. This is the agenda. This agenda, if you look at it, it flows in line with the Kayama Declaration. But what do they really mean? Can you want a republic or any kind of thing you call yourself by destroying the land in which you want to lord over?
All right. Now, Prince Echie, let me put it this way. The Niger Delta is a big but relatively small place in landmass, or however way you want to put it. But you have ethnicalities, ethnic groups here and there that share the same history of marginalization, as they all put it, as they have not gotten all the benefits from the oil that is produced from their land over the years, and which has led to agitations from what we see, and as the case may be. We feel, or we thought, that all this, the Ijaw nation, the Ogoni, the Shekiri, all of them should have been speaking in one voice when it comes to what they want, when it comes to the future of the Niger Delta and all of that. But there seem to be so many fragmentations.
Definitely, in a situation or in an enclave where there is majority and minority. In the Niger Delta, there is majority and minority, just like we have in the Nigerian state. We have majority. In any situation where you have a majority and minority, you always see the majority wanting to usurp the minority. The Ijaws are like the majority in the Niger Delta. Are you listening to me? So that's colonialist tendencies of wanting to make sure that the minority is only seen but not heard. They must always do that. That's exactly why the people cannot speak in the same voice. And don't forget, we don't have the same pedigree in the Niger Delta. No, that's why I told you, go back to the history. We don't have the same pedigree. The Shekiri man saw civilization far back in the 15th century. The Shekiri man is more disciplined. The Shekiri man does not have a pedigree of violence. The Shekiri man is very patient, because he knows patience will make him lack nothing.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Very colorful history of the Shekiri people. But how does this, discordant tune help the Niger Delta in terms of this fight for justice, attention from the federal government and all of that? How does it help?
You see, there is no discordant truth.
But you did say,
there is no discordant. There is the majority, voices, which is the Ijaw, speaking. Have you ever heard the Shekiri speaking?
Are you saying the Ijaws are speaking only for the Ijaws?
They are speaking for themselves. I am speaking on behalf of the Shekiri now. Have you ever seen any Shekiri man come out? I am the Shekiri man that is coming out to tell you exactly how we feel in the Niger Delta and how we want the Niger Delta to be addressed.
So how do you want it to be addressed then?
Well, yes, now you're talking. First of all, you ask the government, the federal government of Nigeria, they have to sit down to look into themselves. What are themselves? Their policies towards Niger Delta. They created NDDC. The act that enacted NDDC was in 1999 during Obasanjo's government. But let me tell you today, from 1999 till today, there is no government that has audited NDDC to know if the projects, the huge amount of money put into NDDC, if that money was actually executed in the various communities. The federal government has not done that. The 13% derivation that comes in to the states. The states also created things like this, OPADEC in Delta State. The federal government is not ensuring that the amount of money going is really going for the developmental projects of what they are asked to do. If these are not done, if you cannot do this, the people are the ones affected. I make bold to tell you, I have a clip of my people, how they presently live. How they presently live. They live in squalor. They live in abject poverty. If you go to Dele, if you go to Batere, if you go to all the areas, let me tell you something. The Shekiri as a nation has 8 flow stations for only Chevron. Are you listening to me? The massive gas settlement in the Shekiri brought about the Escravos gas to liquid plant, which is called the EGTL. We also have the Otumara gas plant. And the Shell is there. Corn oil is also exploring and exploiting our people there. Are you getting me now? Now, this is Shekiri that makes this economic contribution to this state of Nigeria. Go and look at the way they are living. Go and look at their state of living. That's one of the things the men and others are talking about. But we don't see it as maybe violence. But you will notice, the government expects even the multinationals, Chevron Nigeria Limited, Corn Oil, Nest Oil, and even Shell, to do something. Okay,
now that you talk about, the auditing or lack of it. Of the funds that have been pumped into the Niger Delta.
Yeah.
Are you saying then that, whatever this government is doing right now, without this auditing, maybe just, dead on arrival?
Thank you very much. You see, let me tell you, it's already dead on arrival. Why is it dead on arrival? But the government not bring carrots before. Is Amnesty not a carrot program? It's Amnesty, not a carrot. Amnesty is a carrot program.
It's a carrot program for the people of the Niger Delta, and they took advantage of it, and they enjoyed the carrot.
Who said Shekiri man did not enjoy that carrot?
No, the point there is,
Prince, when you are talking about people of Niger Delta, please make a separation.
Prince.
I don't want you to. I don't want you to be putting all of us together.
Yeah, please. Let us get this correctly. The issue of Ijo, Isoko, or Uroko, when it comes to the Niger Delta, is there a fragmentation that people outside don't understand? The issue, you talked about devastation in the Niger Delta that affects the whole of Niger Delta. You talk about people living in squalor and poverty, which affects the whole of Niger Delta. Is it healthy?
Including the
Shekiris.
Yes,
is it healthy to begin to break these ethnicities and say, okay, is Shekiri here, Ijo there? Is that to your interest? Because you have confirmed here that you are of minority.
Yes.
So does it help you to stand and say, okay, fine, this is Shekiri, that is Ijo?
Listen to me. There is no way you cannot keep your identity. There is no way, especially if you are not of the same dispositions.
But in the context where you have a common denomination of squalor, of poverty you talked about, is it healthy for your people to talk about your identity in that sense?
Yes, it's healthy. It's healthy because we don't have the same contribution to the national pulse. We don't have the same.
That seems to be where the problem
we
really
don't have
is.
the same
that seems to be where the problem is.
My contribution, just a minute, please.
Yes.
My contribution, I just told you, the Shekiri nation, to this federal government, to the government of Nigeria, we contribute over 300,000 barrels of oil on a daily basis.
So what you're saying is that the Shekiri contribute a lot more than
more than any other ethnic group in the Niger Delta.
And all of that.
But the Shekiri is the most marginalized.
Back to my question.
Excuse me.
Back to my question. So what then is the way forward when the Shekiris are looking at themselves as we are separate from the Ogonis, we're separate from the Ijos?
Definitely we are separate. We are not of the same.
But how does that help the cause in the Niger Delta? How does that help the cause? When you talk about separation, you're talking about differences. How does that help the cause?
Okay, let me tell you something. I am shouting, I'm being marginalized. The Ijo man is shouting, that is being marginalized. The Ogoni man is shouting, he's being marginalized. All of us have one father. Okay. We all have one father, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the government of Nigeria, because we seeded our inheritance into that collective pool, which is our human right, which is not given, but it comes by birth. We gave it to government so that they give us protection, development. Now they failed in their responsibilities to this development. It is the duty of the government to pick us, we together, and see how we can come out with a blueprint as to how we can develop our place.
Are you not fixated on the past failures of government, that you're not even giving this federal government the chance? You know, it has put some measures in place already to ameliorate the problems of the Niger Delta. So why are you still fighting with this government? Whether it is MEND, well, MEND seems to be, taking the highway here. But you have the NDA, Niger Delta Avengers, and all the different colorations of militancy in the Niger Delta, still fighting this government, in spite of the fact that it is putting concrete measures in place to solve this problem once and for all. It may be slow, but they've started. With Ogoni cleanup, that's on the one hand. Yeah. Of course, the Niger Delta, the NDDC, there's a new board right now. Amnesty is still something that government is looking at, whether there's a possibility of using that, in spite of the fact that there are many who say amnesty has not worked, it will not work.
Okay, listen. Are you trying to tell me to provide a solution to the entire quagmire? You want me to provide a solution?
Go ahead, please.
I just told you we'll go back to the historical facts. Let's go and address NDDC. When we address NDDC, by the time we address NDDC, bring out all the persons that are giving contracts, all the persons that failed in their contracts to our people. Because it's the same Niger Delta people that were given contracts to execute projects in the Niger Delta. But they converted this money to their personal use, and they became billionaires over that.
And they're your sons and daughters.
Listen,
from the Niger Delta.
Definitely in a house, there must be a Judah. There must be a Judah.
And that is why we expect that questions in the Niger Delta should have been asked to those persons who are Judas, as the case may be.
Okay, listen to me now. Who does that? Whose responsibility is that? Do I take the laws into my hands?
The laws have been taken into their hands already with the bombing of pipelines and all of that. They're taking laws into their hands.
But taking the laws into their hands are people who do not really know what it takes to really attack civility.
But they are still sons and daughters of the Niger Delta.
They are. Listen, you see, was Judas not was he not a disciple of Jesus Christ? Was Judas not a disciple of Jesus Christ? Judas was a disciple of Jesus Christ. So in the midst of people, you must always have the negative input.
All right, so if we understand where you stand concerning this militancy that's going on in the Niger Delta, the Shekiri people are not necessarily in support of what is going on.
Necessarily, they are not in support.
They're not in support. Yeah. Good. It's good that we've clarified that. So now let's talk about dialogue.
All right.
A possible dialogue, or it's ongoing. The government has already said there's, dialoguing through some security operatives and, of course, some oil companies. Are you confident that these people can actually represent and clearly state what the Niger Deltans want so that we can actually go forward on this?
You said the government is dialoguing with what?
With
Come
militants.
back again.
With militants.
With the militants and the oil companies. The oil companies.
The oil companies and security
of course,
agencies
oil companies are stakeholders.
They are the ones who are actually representing government in this dialogue. And then you have men on the other side that is representing the interests of the militants and clearly stating what the militants want.
Oh, thank you very much. You have brought up another angle to this issue, oil companies. The NDDC Act states that the oil companies have a responsibility towards the host community. And also, we also say the Local Content Act that brings about the oil companies carrying the people along and ensuring that the people contribute to their own management. But I want to tell you today, if not 80% of the problems of the Niger Delta is caused by the oil companies, these multinationals. They are the major problem. If the government, if the Federal Minister of Petroleum, they are not supervising exactly what the oil companies are doing. They are not. Chevron Nigeria Limited, you are taking 80% of your production from Ishekiri land and you build your administrative headquarters in Lagos. That's absurd. Chevron Nigeria Limited has oil flow stations and they get houseboats, pay thousands of dollars to some group of people. They cannot even build houses, accommodation for their staff in my place. They use houseboats. Look at it now. You are not encouraging economic empowerment to the people. You are not developing the people. You get what I'm saying? You use houseboats and you are milking oil from the man's land. And you are supposed to build an administrative office or maybe accommodation and everything in that man's land. You do not do it. All areas where Chevron is operating, there is houseboat, because a clique or a cabal of people divide and rule system. A cabal of people is getting money from them.
Yeah,
and the people are languishing in economic slavery, I'll call it.
Yeah, but Prince, if I have to,
so if I go by what that you are still going back to that same oil companies to come and mediate over the same issue, you are going back to the same problem, because they will come out with a policy. They will come out. They are not going to really give you the truth. They will not tell you the truth. When you want to get the truth, you get the truth. You don't go back to the man who is part of the problem.
All right, Prince. We had some guests on this program sometimes from the Niger Delta that reeled out how intellectually based Southerners are generally. Very intelligent people, very brilliant people, very highly placed people, very rich people, just like you, as the case may be. And when it comes to the statistics of what government is sending to the Niger Delta, it is common knowledge. All of you are aware of how much money government is claiming, if it is true or not, because some persons have said what government said they have sent to the Niger Delta is actually not as the case. We've heard all of those reports. But we expect that whatever it is, if government has said we have sent about 20 billion, for instance, to either Niger Delta or Niger Delta Ministry or to the states, as the case may be, we expect all of you to hold the government of the people accountable. The point there is, you have senators from the Niger Delta, you have House of Rep members who represent the people in the National Assembly. So we expect that you hold those persons responsible to give account of what exactly they have sent to for the development of the Niger Delta first. And that is not happening. That doesn't seem to be happening.
Maybe you're really not getting me correctly.
Okay.
You're not getting me correctly.
Make us understand.
You have a father. The National Assembly have oversight functions, their functions. Are you getting me? One of their functions, I'm talking about the National Assembly now, is to look into the activities of the Federal Ministry of Petroleum. And the Federal Ministry of Petroleum has a role to play as far as the activities of the oil companies in the state of Nigeria. When the man who is supposed to look at the activities is not doing it, it's not doing it clearly to bring out the truth, and the federal government, that's the executive arm that puts that ministry into place, they are not doing it. I'm telling you today they are not doing it. This government that came to play now, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, we've been watching the activities of the government. Me personally and my people, we have been watching. He's a man of integrity, yes. We've been watching. We have been seeing policies being put in place. But we expect the kind of policies that will be put in place now is a complete overhaul of the system. A complete overhaul of the system. It is the system that gave birth to everything you are saying, the system. A complete overhaul of the system. I just told you.
So are you making this point very clear to government in such a way that going forward they will put all of this,
the National Assembly too,
into consideration, including your representatives in the National Assembly?
Listen to me. I give you 300,000 barrels of oil every day. I have no representation on the Federal Executive Council. I have no SA. Recently, the board of NDDC was inaugurated. No Ishekiri man is there. The only Ishekiri man that has been a minister in this country is Festus Okotiebo.
Yeah, but
you see, you don't do things like that.
All right,
you don't do things like that.
All right, people who are watching all of this from outside, especially when you talk about the Ishekiri, the Ijo, and all of that, so many persons have said that, are you sure this fight in the Niger Delta is not selfish? Is it for the people? People have been asking those kind of questions because in true terms, it is very glaring, the problems in the Niger Delta. And we expect all of you to come together to speak in one voice. Has
Nigeria ever come together, Nigeria, the big entity in Nigeria, the unity we claim we profess, have we ever come together to really become one in the true sense of it? Nigeria as an entity. Where you have a lot of people, a lot of interest. Nigeria has never. If Nigeria has come on as an entity in unity, in unison, you will never see the Igbo people clamoring for this.
All right.
Prince
Ishola Ekwejunor thank you very much for coming on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you so much. Yes. And we hope that eventually patriotism will be the watchword, whether we're talking about the Niger Delta, the Northeast,
exactly.
whichever part of the country.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
God bless you. Thank you very much.